welcome back, viewers, and welcome to yet another fun episode and informative episode of Generation C. I am Jamie Lee Loss. Generation C aims at empowering the youth throughout with 3 segments: The Zone, School Corner, as well as Varsity Chat Room. The Zone is published in the Namibian Sun, Republican, and Allgemeine Zeitung, and it comes out every Tuesday, so do make sure to get your very own copy. Well, right now I am alone, but today in studio, or later today in studio, who will be joining us is Tamia Ottner. She is a social media influencer and she has a love for charity work. So do stay tuned, but for now, let's get into the pages for this week. On the front page, we have a focus, or we actually focus on the Africa Youth in Tourism Challenge winner, Paulina Alpheus. Alpheus was born and bred in Onipa. Through her business, Fredina Trading, which was established in November 2021, Alpheus takes old oil drums and upcycles them into colorful furniture that she sells to different tourist establishments within Namibia. Wow. Moving to page 2, we take a look at an article on the National Conference on Education, which was hosted from the 2nd to the 5th of August at Hotel Safari in Windhoek, under the theme Transforming Education Towards Inclusion and Quality in the Context of Global Challenges, Reimagining 2023 and Beyond. Well, that's quite an interesting theme. I'd definitely like to see more, so let's stay tuned for the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing a global learning catastrophe of unprecedented magnitude, which the pandemic has deepened. In many countries across the globe, it has erased basic foundational skills upon which every aspect of education is built.
The Commerce region remains our trusted and reliable partner for our collective call of transforming education to be competitive to global challenges to address the plight of the Namibian child. And above all, to us, the interests of the Namibian child always remains a priority. This inclusive representation convinced me that you are also driven by this same strong courage, willingness, and readiness to face this desired transformation of our education towards inclusion and quality in the context of global challenges, and for us to re-imagine 2023 and beyond.
My sincere appreciation goes to all of you who made time to be with us for the rest of this week to participate in this conference under the theme Transforming Education Towards Inclusion and Quality in the Context of Global Challenges, Reimagining 2023 and Beyond. The Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture is its mandate is anchored on our 4 broad goals as adopted at independence, which are access, equity, quality, and democracy. And our mandate is to provide an inclusive quality education and lifelong learning towards building a knowledge-based economy.
Also on page 2, we take a look at our photo of the week, which is Alexis Swart, Miss Teen Namibia 2021, who won the Miss Congeniality title on Friday 29th July by a popular vote from her fellow pageant competitors at the 2022 Miss Teen International event, which took place in New Delhi in India. And then for our favorite part, which is of course our Vox Pop, where we hear what you guys think. Our My Zone team asked students if they agree or disagree with the notion that the Namibian school curriculum is the reason for the high unemployment rate. Now that's a good one because it might just be the reason why we have high unemployment. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
My name is Pitu Kolwa Mumbwa, and I'm a media studies student at the University of Namibia. And to the question, is the Namibian school curriculum the reason for unemployment? My response to that would be in a negative. I don't believe that the Namibian school curriculum is the reason for unemployment. I believe that the reason for unemployment is a a result of our own mindsets. Many of us have the mindset of looking for jobs rather than creating jobs for ourselves. Many of us have the habit of wanting to put our lives in the hands of other people rather than taking responsibility and accountability for our own lives. I believe that if our nation is ever going to develop, if our nation is ever going to grow in wealth, most of us must become business-minded people. You know, if you look at developed nations, whether South Africa, whether the European nations or American nations, you realize that most of the organizations and institutions there are privately owned. They are owned by business people. And businesses have the habit of producing wealth. So when you create a business, not only are you doing yourself a favor by making a job for yourself, in the process of creating a business, in the process of creating a job for yourself, you create jobs even for many other people. This is why it's very important for us to become business-minded people. We should stop with the So this is why it's very important for us to become business-minded people. We should stop with the habit of waiting upon the government and other people to give us jobs, and let us go out there and create our own jobs. Let us go out there and develop our communities, our nations, our societies. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Peter Senyananya. I'm a student at the University of Namibia. So, do I believe that the new curriculum that was imposed by our government is the cause of high employment rate? The answer is yes, due to certain factors and circumstances, obviously to be seen. So, the reason why is that the government imposed this curriculum like at late stage, if I may say that way. It was kind of a surprise thing to students. If they could only maybe impose it starting like, let's say next year, all the kindergarten kids, or maybe let's say the lower primary learners, the kindergarten, let me say for example, if they started with that base of the curriculum implementation, then it would have been a better factor. The fact that they started imposing this curriculum, or implementing it rather, into the secondary stages, for example, into the secondary learners education, that quite kicked in a tough kick for them, you understand, to handle all the work and the pressure. And you know, with learning, it's a process for everyone. We are all different. We all have different skills and knowledge upon to how we learn things fast or late, you understand. So they didn't put these things into counter. So it causing really a heavy strain on unemployment, because as you look at this thing, these are the scales we look up to, like South African scale and then also the Namibian scale, where we look at the matric marks, are almost similar, which is quite difficult, because when you look at South Africa, those people started with those systems from the base, and we are starting it from a secondary stage, you understand. So that quite gives a challenge for the people to really acquire what they want to do, you understand, where they can even further their studies, because now, due to this curriculum that is imposed, making it harder for them actually to achieve the necessary requirements to go to tertiary level. And I also believe when the government imposed this, they first didn't tackle the challenges we are facing currently in education. As we are sitting here, we have schools that don't have enough chairs. Being it for real, we have learners that are in grade 10 doing grade 11, 12, AS level that don't. I understand they introduced the thing of sending smart board TVs to schools, but I'm sure not every school has a smart board TV to access these online learning platforms and things like that.
On page 3, we focus on our school focus as well as our star teacher. For this week's star teacher, we have Gilbert Sabata. He is an accounting teacher, and he started his teaching in 2015 while he was still a final year student at the University of Namibia. Moving on to our school focus, this week we look at Kariba Private School, which is led by Vincent Hockey, who has worked in the education fraternity for the past 28 years. The school had been a private school for German-speaking learners since after World War II and had been built and funded by the German government at that time. How interesting is that? Well, I definitely want to see how the school looks like since I have no idea. So let's have a look at the following video.
Kariba Private School, who is home to 268 learners and 21 teachers, offers an accessible quality education for the benefit of all its learners. The school caters for learners from 5 years old up to the AS levels, which are grade 12. Kariba Private School is the top performer in the Omaruru circuit and is constantly ranked amongst the top performing schools in the Erongo region. They surely live up to their motto, which is "Be worthy of thy name." As a private school with smaller class groups, they strive to provide one-on-one teaching in their quest to provide education of the highest quality. The school's mission statement is to offer outstanding education of the highest possible academic standards to its pupils, and the school is also an integral part of the education system of Namibia, offering multicultural educational development in the country. The school also strives to be a major role player in private school education in Southern Africa. The vision of Kariba Private School is to provide education of the highest standard to its pupils to equip them with a school-leading certificate suitable for tertiary education or direct entrance into the business world. The school also offers extramural activities such as rugby, soccer, netball, volleyball, table tennis, chess, choir, debating, and soon will also start with handball.
Now our fun page, because here we talk about all weekend sport, everything fun and active. We take a look at our page 4, and on our first article we have the Under-19 Super League Rugby that took place last weekend in Rehoboth, and we hear that it was filled with tons of action as well as fun.
A beautiful day for rugby. NSSR Super League Under-19 Dr. Lema 1 versus Windhoek Gymnasium 1 at Dr. Lema in Rehoboth. Starting off with a kick from captain. No, not the captain, rather, that's JW Fisaki. Now, that kick did not go through as planned, but Gymnasium kept playing their rugby, surging towards their try line with relative consistency, and over there it paid off with Yorick Muir going across the line. He would prove to be a very potent flanker throughout this entire game. Fisaki, this time with a slightly less difficult kick straight in front of the post. That's light work. He could have done that barefoot. I'll go ahead and call it. Gymnasium once again at the try line, and this time crossing over very, very quickly was Alexandro van Veek, the scrum half. Wonderful day for rugby. Of course, Dr. Lema doing their best to get off the back foot, which was very difficult. But here's the foot that had to kick forward, JW Fisaki. And this was one of those times the boot was faithful to the man. So halftime score 33 Windhoek Gymnasium. Dr. Lema yet to put anything on the board.
And then lastly, for our publication for this week, we have probably the most interesting story there, the FNB mountain bike series that took place at the IJG Trails on the 5th of August 2022. Oh, wow. Well, what an amazing edition of Zone that was. It was super interesting, and I sure did learn a thing or two. And last week was quite a busy week from what I just read. But you know what? Let's head on over to our school corner. Welcome back to School Corner, where we focus on all things school. So for this week's School Corner, we're going to focus on some rugby action. So not literally that we're going to show you how the guys are playing rugby, but we're just going to look at the different team spirits that are at different schools. And this week we focus on Walvis Bay Private School, as well as Windhoek High, and in Rehoboth, Dr. Lema. As we all know, Dr. Lema had their rugby game in the Super League last week, which was super, super fun. But you know what? you guys need to stay tuned to see how each of these schools have a different tradition or a different way of preparing for the day before a rugby game. So let's have a look.
Hi, man, ek speel in Machit. Ek speel wing. Onze eerste game was tegen Dr. Lemmer. Dat was nog wel een harde game om wel op onze thuis te spelen. Ja, maar ons het het neergedrukt. Ons was nog een week af, maar ons kan mooi voorbereid voor hierdie wedstrijd in Waffelsbaai. Ik denk mijn boys is recht om zaterdag die werk te doen. So, ja, hoop ons krijg die werk weer. Dank je.
Well, guys, how interesting was that? It's crazy how every school has its own traditions and their own way of doing things. Do make sure to be featured on, do make sure to send us your content to be featured on School Corner, because you know what, we're always on the lookout for anything school related, and it's super fun to see how each of you do things differently at your school. But do also prepare yourselves, because as the term has started, or the semester has started, that also means that our school newspapers are coming out. So do prepare for your school newspapers to come out, and just keep your eyes open for any My Zone team members, because ons is oral. Well, that was a fun and interesting, also very different type of School Corner. But now let's head on over to our interview with Tamia Ottner. Well, guys, it's finally here, the moment we've all been waiting for. In studio joining us today is Tamia Ottner. She's a social media manager, and we're super excited to have you here today. How are you doing?
It's quite a pleasure to be here. I'm doing great.
So, Tamia, can you tell us more about yourself?
Okay. I'm Tamia Ottner. I grew up in Grootfontein. I was born and raised there. Okay. And later moved to Windhoek. So yeah. So
when did you know, or when did you feel like you're gonna get into entrepreneurship?
From as I was from a very young age of grade 7. So yeah, it was grade 7 when I started selling popsicles at the house and all of that. I think I have a big drive or self-independence. I don't like asking for things when I have to do them.
I can totally get that. But how did you venture into social media management?
So just to give you a small background of my entrepreneur life, I started at a very young age, like I said, from selling popsicles at the age of, when I was in grade 8, I started doing nails and all of that. So then before I matriculated, I saw that I really wanted to venture into something with social media related, whether it's an influencer or whatever it is. But then as I grew, as I grew, I saw that the space that really suits me is social media managing.
But how did you get into it? Because I know I've heard a lot about social media management, but I'm pretty sure it's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah. So it all started last year when I started managing. I just started off with a few stuff, managing my siblings' accounts, some of my cousins' accounts, and just helping them with the basic social media management stuff. And then that's when I saw that I can actually make money out of this, and it's something that I really enjoy doing.
So you could manage my account.
Yeah.
So you could tell me what the people want and what.
It's more to that. If it's personal account, people have different goals. Perhaps if you want to be an influencer, or if you want to just be a content creator, or if you want to have like a personal brand for yourself, and we grow or we help you manage in a different. All of them have different ways of doing it.
Okay. Well, what would you say is the best part about your job?
I think the best thing is the growth. When I see the growth, especially with my clients, just when I help them with the growth, when they come back with their reviews, that makes it fun. Meeting new people. For those who don't know, I'm not only based in Namibia. I also in South Africa, and recently we have an agent open in the States. So now it's more of an international agency that I have now. So with other clients from other countries, it's because they have more awareness on social media management. So it's more easier for them. But specifically for Namibia, it's a whole different story. It's much more difficult because they don't know the awareness and the importance of it. But the most difficult thing is when you have to, I'm sorry to say this, but when I have to deal with people from very older ages, if you have to convince them that we need to fix your account, that's the most difficult thing, because most older people who have businesses don't have like social media platforms and they don't know the importance of social media or branding at all. So I think that's the most difficult thing, having to convince. I had a recent event where I had to convince an 80-year-old businessman the importance of social media management.
No, I can imagine, because I feel like they're not used to it and they don't really understand it, so it's difficult for them to want to pay for it also.
That's the other thing. But then with them, I'm more lenient. I give them almost, not most, I'm not saying most, most of my clients, I give them like a trial. So for instance, an 80-year-old, I definitely need to give him a trial. I need to show him what he's missing in order for him to, before he starts taking out his money, he needs to see what he's missing and what he needs.
Definitely, that makes so much sense. But I know that there's someone watching right now that also wants to be part of this situation, in this job, in this industry. And I know that they feel like, yo, this is not a real job. How could it be? I'm just working from home or whatever, you know. So what can you say to that girl, that boy out there?
So what I can say to them is, first, do your research. Especially in an industry that's not so popular in Namibia. Try to set yourself different from me. Try to set yourself different from me, as I am already a social media manager. Find a specialty that you will do. Do a lot of research. If you have to pay for the courses that you have to pay, just to have knowledge so that you know what you're doing. And just go ahead. Like for me, I specialize in IG strategies and as well as campaigns. So that's what sets me different from other social media managers. So for whoever wants to do, find what you find more interesting and specialize into that.
Okay. So guys, it was super nice and interesting having you here. I've learned a lot.
Pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. But now guys, let's head on over to Varsity Chat Room. With all that's happening in the schools, let's take a look at wat gaan aan in the universities. Well, we have some news on the Namibia University of Science and Technology, NUST, officially launched its COVID-19 vaccination center last week, and the university says that this vaccination center is located at the Emergency Medical Care Garage at the university, and the center will operate from 9 to 1 only twice a week. I must say it's not enough days, but it is a great start because we do need more vaccination centers. So big ups I mean to NUST. Well, unfortunately guys, this week we do not have a Varsity Corner focus, which is super sad, but do make sure that if you want to be part of the Varsity Chat Room, send us your information and we will definitely feature you. But all good things do come to an end. So from the Gen Z team and myself, it's goodbye.